My sister turned me into a joke at her wedding, so I took down her entire ceremony. She used my envelope as a prop, captioned her fake wedding pics with snide insults, and told everyone I was mentally unstable. So I logged into the wedding website I built for her, hit report infringement, and started the quietest war they never saw coming. If you've ever been the family scapegoat, hit like. Drop a comment if you've had to take your power back. And don't forget to subscribe for more insane Reddit revenge stories every week. Hi, I'm Jack, 34, black sheep, former family doormat. And last week, I received a wedding invitation from Lily. Not my Lily, not my sister. This was a different Lily. A Lily from work. But when I opened that envelope and saw the gold-trimmed cardstock, I didn't think about love or joy or whatever poetic nonsense people associate with weddings. I thought about revenge. Because, as it turns out, you don't just bury years of betrayal in a vineyard meltdown and ride off into the sunset. No, sometimes ghosts show up dressed in Vera Wang and ask if you're bringing a +1. Sometimes healing comes wrapped in a second chance. Let me explain. It started with a phone call I wasn't supposed to get. Kristen, the forensic friend from the rehearsal dinner bomb drop, called me out of the blue. "You're going to want to see this," she said, and sent me a video. It was a wedding clip, newly posted. A guest had tagged Lily, my sister Lily, but it wasn't her wedding. It was a staged elopement, rustic barn, same florist, different guy. Zach was gone, out of state, last anyone heard. But Lily? She was already working the optics. A cozy little photo shoot, a recycled dress, a guy named Jeremy who looked like he played acoustic guitar and said vibes a lot. The caption read, "When you know, you just know. No more drama, just love." That would have been that. I would have rolled my eyes, maybe texted Kristen a meme. But then I saw the final picture in the carousel. A familiar envelope. My envelope. The one I slipped into the mailbox at the old venue. The one with the invoice and the note that said, "Thanks for nothing." It was in the photo, on a table, in frame, under a wine glass. Captioned, "Some people send curses, we turn them into coasters." That's when something inside me stood up again. Not rage, not pain, purpose. You want to turn me into a punchline, Lily? Fine, but you forgot something. I'm the one who taught you Canva. The revenge didn't start with fire, it started with fonts. See, there's a funny little clause in Canva's terms of use, and I know this because I actually read them when I first signed up to make Lily's Save the Date site. Any designs created under a pro account remain the intellectual property of the account holder. That's me. Which meant all those wedding invites, logos, monograms, color palettes, menus. Every single thing I made, and they recycled for this sad little backup wedding? Legally mine. So I logged in, opened up the template they'd used for their new wedding website, identical to the one I built for them before, and hit report infringement. Then I changed every design title in the account to a single word, expired. That was just for warm-up. Next came the florist. You see, Kristen had quietly kept a copy of the original vendor contact list from when we nuked the first wedding, and she was more than happy to share. So I called the florist. Said I was doing a follow-up for a pending fraud investigation involving services rendered under a false invoice. The woman on the phone practically tripped over herself apologizing. "I knew something was off," she said. "She told us someone else was covering the balance after her card bounced." Yep. Classic Lily. I left her with my lawyer's contact. Spoiler, I don't have a lawyer. But I do have an email address that ends in ereclaimlegal.org, courtesy of Kristen's very real digital forensics firm. Then came the best part, the wedding blog. Lily had started one. Of course she had. Healing after heartbreak. How to turn your ex into a footnote. Full of aesthetic shots of her sipping wine under string lights, passive-aggressive quotes, and one bold-faced lie. I planned this entire wedding from scratch in just 6 weeks. No help. No handouts, just love. So I made a blog too. Titled it, How to build a wedding on other people's backs. And unlike Lily, I had receipts. Literally. Screenshots, invoices, email chains, voicemails from my mother, calendar invites, a spreadsheet titled Unpaid Emotional Labor XLSX. I didn't have to say her name, didn't have to get personal. I just told the story of a brother who gave and was erased anyway. I posted it anonymously. Then I sent the link to everyone in Lily's new Instagram follower list. And you know what? They clicked. 2 days later, her empire cracked. It started subtly. A few snide comments on her latest blog post. One person asked, "Did you really plan everything yourself?" Another linked to my blog and said, "Interesting perspective from someone else involved." The kicker. Someone tagged Canva's official account under her custom wedding logo and asked, "Is this stolen content?" She deleted the post within an hour. That same afternoon, the florist emailed her a cease in services notice due to inconsistent payment communication. I know because Kristen BCC'd me. Turns out, when you mention fraud, vendors suddenly start double-checking contracts, but the moment I knew I'd hit critical mass, a DM from Jeremy. The new groom. It was short, polite, professional. "Hey, not sure what's going on between you and Lily, but I'd like to talk. There's a lot I didn't know." Oh yes. I didn't answer. Not right away. I let him sit in that digital purgatory for 12 hours. Then I replied with one sentence, "Only if you agree to let me record it." He said yes. We met at a local cafe 3 towns over. Neutral territory. He looked tired. Not dramatic soap opera tired. Just bone tired, like someone who'd been playing catch-up in a race he didn't realize he entered 6 laps behind. "I thought she was just hurt," he said. "From the last wedding falling apart. She told me you ambushed her. Said you manipulated the audio." I just raised an eyebrow. Kristen's forensic verification still lived online, with timestamps and chain of custody. Jeremy had clearly seen it by now. His voice dropped. "I didn't know she'd lied about that much. The money, the vendors. Her family said you were mentally unstable." I smiled. The kind of smile you earn after building a database of gaslighting for 5 years. "She lied to you," I said. "That sucks. But what you do next? That's your story." He nodded, stirred his coffee like it might offer moral guidance. Then he slid a paper across the table. A printed email chain. Lily, talking to a blogger, offering an exclusive interview about my emotionally abusive brother who ruined my wedding because he couldn't handle my happiness. Timestamp, 2 days ago. Before the florist, before the blog, before the comments. She was still trying to get ahead of it. Jeremy watched me read it. "I haven't even told her I saw this," he said. "But after everything, I'm done being the cleanup guy." He looked up. Jaw set. "So if you want to burn it all down, I'm in." And just like that, the final act began. Jeremy had more than just regret. He had access. Lily wasn't tech-savvy. She reused passwords, forwarded private emails to her personal inbox, and left her laptop logged in at his apartment. Jeremy, bless his guilty conscience, had taken screenshots before walking out. Messages, voice memos, planning docs. He even pulled metadata from a half-written guest essay she'd pitched to a bridal magazine under the title, "How My Brother Tried to Sabotage My Life." She'd attached a photo of me without asking, cropped from an old Thanksgiving, captioned, "The man who tried to ruin my happiness." So I called Kristen. She didn't ask questions, just said, "Send me everything." While she did her thing, I did mine. First, I forwarded Lily's pitch to the magazine editor, with proof, time-stamped Canva deletions, florists dropping service, even the venue refund receipt that was still in my inbox. The subject line read, "Before you publish a smear piece, here's what actually happened." Then I created a website, theweddingtruth.org. It wasn't flashy, no insults, no drama, just a clean timeline, every dollar, every message, every favor I did logged like a spreadsheet for karma. There was a photo section, a digital paper trail, a copy of Kristen's verified forensic report. It ended with a single quote from Lily's group chat. "He won't be at the wedding. I'll make sure of it." Underneath, "Mission accomplished." I set the domain to go live the morning of her second wedding. Not before, not after, during. And then I waited. Kristen messaged me that night. "Your sister's in deep. Tell Jeremy thanks. These emails are gold." She included a file, her final report, now notarized and archived in case Lily tried legal pushback. She wouldn't. Not now, but still. One last message came in that night. "Lily," from a burner email. No subject line, no greeting. "You win, just please don't ruin this one too." I stared at it for a long time. The old me, the one who once paid for her bachelorette Airbnb and cleaned it after, might have felt something. But I didn't. I just scheduled the website launch. November 18th, noon. Ceremony start time. It was only fitting. Let them say their vows under a cloud they built. November 18th arrived like a funeral in disguise. I wasn't there, not physically, but I didn't need to be. I was 200 miles away in my one-bedroom cottage, wrapped in a flannel blanket, drinking coffee that could strip paint. The sky was gunmetal gray, and the wind outside had that sharp November bite. But inside? Inside was peace. Inside was still. Inside was exactly the kind of silence I'd earned. My laptop sat open on the kitchen counter. One tab queued up a live stream, the other sat on a scheduled site launch. theweddingtruth.org, set to publish at exactly 12:00 p.m., the exact moment Lily's second ceremony was scheduled to begin. Jeremy had sent me the stream link 2 days earlier. He'd said, "For closure." I didn't ask if he planned to go. I didn't need to. I already knew. The camera opened on the vineyard, same one they'd booked for the first wedding. I recognized the archway, though it had been redone in more florals. Lilies, ironically. Rows of gold chiavery chairs faced forward. Faux rustic wood signs welcomed guests with phrases like, "Second time's the charm," and "Love always wins." There was a 3-piece string quartet softly playing some acoustic version of Bittersweet Symphony. Of course. I watched as guests filtered in, laughing, chatting, toasting with champagne before noon. Someone was already taking selfies with the floral wall. I recognized a few of them from the original guest list. Aunt Megan, Uncle Jeff, even a couple of Lily's high school friends who once told me I gave them serial killer vibes because I read books at family functions instead of getting blackout drunk. Then came Lily. She walked down the aisle in a new dress, lace, sleeves, dramatic train. Very look at me, but pretend I didn't try energy. Her smile was pure theater, but the camera didn't lie. Even through the high-definition filter, you could see it, something brittle behind the eyes, like she knew it was all built on borrowed bones. At exactly 12 p.m., the officiant cleared his throat to begin, and right then, theweddingtruth.org went live. White text on a dark, clean background. Simple, unapologetic. No ads, no distractions. Before you toast the happy couple, ask who paid for the wine. Underneath, a timeline, receipts, screenshots, email exchanges. The notarized forensic report from Kristen. A side-by-side of Lily's bridal blog, and the pitch she sent to the magazine defaming me. No commentary, just evidence. It took exactly 97 seconds for someone in the crowd to find it. A bridesmaid, dark red dress, hair in a sleek low bun, glanced down at her phone mid-ceremony. Her eyes widened. She nudged the girl next to her, who immediately turned her screen. The officiant stumbled on his words. Another guest held up their phone, scrolled, blinked. I watched in real time as the realization spread like dye dropped in clear water. Gasps. Whispered, "Oh my gods." A woman in the third row turned to someone behind her and mouthed, "Did you see this?" A man near the back stood up and walked away, already on the phone. I took a sip of coffee and smiled. 5 minutes later, the live stream cut out. Kristen texted, "It's happening. You broke the internet of that wedding." I didn't respond. I didn't need to. I just clicked over to my site analytics. 4,000 views in the first 15 minutes. People weren't just looking, they were reading. My story. In my words, my truth. No edits, no interruptions. No one calling me dramatic or too sensitive or saying, "You're blowing this out of proportion." Just raw, archived reality. And based on the messages flooding my old inbox, people were listening. A cousin I hadn't heard from in years emailed, "I had no idea. I'm so sorry." Someone from Lily's work messaged, "She told everyone you were emotionally unstable, that you ruined her first wedding because of jealousy." I believed her. I regret that. And from an unknown number, "You were never the villain. You were the scapegoat." I didn't answer any of them. That day wasn't about validation. It wasn't about sympathy. It was about truth. For once, the full picture was on display, and no one could spin it, dress it up in lace and lanterns, and call it love. And the best part? I still wasn't done. The morning after the wedding imploded, my phone buzzed nonstop. Not the emergency flip I used day to day. That one was still off, buried in a drawer. But the backup phone tied to the anonymous email I used to register theweddingtruth.org. I left it on a shelf, screen down, volume off. I wasn't interested in hearing apologies delivered under duress, because that's all they were. I checked the analytics instead. Overnight, the site passed 250,000 views. Someone had posted it to a popular subreddit, RME the asshole of all places. The thread was titled, "Bride Excludes Brother from Wedding. He Responds with Facts Only." Thousands of upvotes, thousands of comments. The public didn't just read it, they devoured it. And most, for the first time, saw me, not the bitter sibling, not the dramatic one, just the guy who got used up and finally pushed back. Then came the fallout. Aunt Megan posted a Facebook status so long it got cut off. Something about family values and private matters. The comments roasted her. Screenshots of Lily's group chat messages started circulating. Someone had archived them. One of the quotes, "We'll get Jack to pay for the cake too, just guilt him, works every time," had already become a meme. By noon, Lily's bridal blog was deleted. By 3 p.m., the Instagram went private. At 6:07 p.m., I received an email with the subject line, "Please." No text, just one attachment. A photo of Lily, sitting alone at the venue after the guests had left, in full makeup, dress stained with wine, mascara running. No apology, no explanation, just pity bait. I deleted it. Then I called Kristen. "We're going nuclear," I said. She didn't ask what that meant. She just said, "Already ahead of you." See, while Lily and the remains of her wedding party were scrambling to do damage control, Kristen had been working quietly in the background, archiving everything, tracking post deletions, capturing metadata trails, all perfectly legal, all backed by time-stamped evidence. She compiled it into a digital brief, a dossier. She sent me a copy, 56 pages, professionally formatted. I printed the whole thing out on a local library printer just to feel the weight of it. Then I did something I hadn't planned on. I mailed it. To my parents, not out of spite, not to twist the knife, just to say without a word, "Here, this is what you chose, this is what you defended, read it." Or don't. But now you can't say you didn't know. A week passed. No response. Then, a letter. Handwritten. From my father. It wasn't an apology. Of course it wasn't. It was a 3-page dissertation on how families drift apart, and maybe we all made mistakes. And Lily's been through a lot. I laughed out loud in the post office lobby reading it. A sharp, stunned laugh that startled the clerk. It ended with, "If you ever want to talk, the door's open, but don't bring any more drama with you." There it was. Even now, I was the one bringing the drama. Not the daughter who lied, schemed, and manipulated. Not the parents who cut out their son because he didn't fit the aesthetic. Me. I folded the letter in half and dropped it in the trash on my way out. And still, it wasn't over. Because the final nail wasn't my site, or the dossier, or the blog takedown. The final nail came 3 weeks later. A certified letter arrived at my old apartment, forwarded to my P.O. box. It was from the family's lawyer. Inside was a notice. My name had been removed from the inheritance trust per mutual agreement. Mutual. That part made me laugh again. They thought they were cutting me off. They didn't realize I'd walked away first. I'd already transferred my investments, closed the joint emergency account, and revoked every financial link they ever had to me. They'd kicked me out of a house I'd never truly lived in, and called it punishment. Meanwhile, I was free. No strings, no guilt, no secret sense of waiting for them to change. I emailed Kristen one last time. Subject, done. She replied with a single line, "Hell of a thing to witness, go live your peace." So I did. I signed up for a second course at the community college, archival preservation and grant writing. I got a part-time job at the county museum, helping digitize war letters and photograph brittle town maps from the 1800s. I made friends with a man named Alan, who brought his dog to the library every Thursday and always smelled like pipe tobacco and cinnamon. My new life isn't flashy. It's not Instagrammable, but it's real. It's mine. And when I walk home at night under the kind of stars you can only see in towns without stoplights, I feel something I never did under all their expectations and half-hugs. Stillness. Not loneliness, not sadness, just stillness. A silence that belongs to me. Spring came slow and quiet. The snow melted in layers, revealing stubborn patches of dead grass and forgotten tire ruts on the gravel road to my cottage. I planted tulips out front. Half of them died. The rest bloomed sideways. It felt honest. I didn't go back online. Not really. I kept the site up, theweddingtruth.org, but I stopped checking stats. The numbers didn't matter anymore. The truth had already done its job. My family didn't reach out again. No new emails, no letters, not even the fake friendly ones. Eventually, I changed my name. Legally. I didn't make a big deal out of it. Just walked into the county clerk's office one Thursday, filled out the form, and paid the fee. When the woman behind the desk handed me the confirmation, she smiled and said, "Fresh start?" I said, "Something like that." I left the last name blank, just took my middle name and moved it up. No fanfare, no symbolism, just a quiet refusal to carry theirs anymore. A few weeks later, I got a job offer. The museum director was retiring, and the board asked if I'd step in on a 6-month interim. It didn't pay much, but the idea of unlocking cabinets full of forgotten things and deciding what to preserve, that felt right. I said yes. One evening, I was locking up after hours when a teenage girl came in holding a shoebox. Inside were old photos, black and white snapshots of a grandmother she never met. No names on the back, no dates. "I just don't want them to disappear," she said. I nodded. "They won't." I stayed late that night cataloging her photos. When I finished, I sat back, looked at the clock, and realized something. This was the life I'd built, not a life they handed me, not one they approved of. Mine. No one clapped, no one posted it. But that didn't make it small. I walked home under a sky that stretched forever. My boots hit soft gravel. The air smelled like thawing pine. I didn't miss them. I missed the version of myself who used to wait by the phone, hoping they'd see me. But he's gone now. Now there's only quiet. And peace. And a mailbox with no name that accepts no apologies. Only truth.